And, I want to pick up on something that you said there just around, stress levels and the ability to think clearly from a logical, strategic planning, problem solving perspective. And, sometimes when we go into corporate environments and we start talking about mind body connection or physical health and things like that, there can be some resistance because people go, oh, well, this is a corporate environment, it's not a health school, or it's not, we're not looking at sometimes it's seen as airy fairy stuff, but there's a lot of scientific facts and studies around, cortisol levels, which is obviously the stress hormone, and our actual ability to be problem solving, and to think straight and to be able to be resilient in the face of that. And I think it has a lot to do with talent development. And one of the things that we have seen as a group, and certainly in the clients that we've worked with, is that talent is expecting so much more from their leaders these days. It's not just about giving me the skills to be able to do my technical job or the technical aspects of my job. We look to our leaders now and we expect so much more in terms of soft skills development, the ability to be resilient, teaching people about things that potentially they weren't taught in school around, managing their own cash flow situations and how they deal with money. Some of them are looking for soft skills in terms of how do I actually learn how to be empathetic. One of the things that we've certainly seen with the generational differences in a workplace, obviously we've got four generations working in many workplaces, large workplaces, as well as, new generations emerging. There is this, difference of opinion, and also difference of skill set in terms of the way that we learned. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that one end of the generational scale is different from the other, that it is better or worse than the other. They're just different. And the exposure that we've had to resources as we've, grown up and learnt life skills has been very different with the emergence of technology. So what we're definitely seeing, and I know all of us in our engagement with clients have seen that some of the things that potentially your baby boomers and your Gen X generations took for granted in terms of, how to build empathy or emotional regulation, understanding emotions, may be seen differently for people who are in Y and Z and, alphas that are, coming through. And I think it's really interesting because if you're a leader and you've got people who are of different generations in your team, your approach has to be adaptable. And I think that has a lot to do with the way in which we succession plan and also how we respond flexibly to the different people in our team to continue to create a positive culture for everyone. Because what looks like a positive culture for one group of people might look like a toxic culture. Actually, interesting thought. I had a briefing the other day, and I was told that there is an overwhelming sense from Gen Z that the thumbs up emoji is actually seen as aggressive. And so we have these situations where, different age brackets. I even saw a video the other day. I'm sure you've seen them on social media where the alphas have their own language for everything. And it's quite a joke where they have the reels and, the adult is, saying what these words stand for. So Brad, I'm curious, we've been doing lots of projects where we've got people of all different ages and all different skill sets. What's your thoughts around, talent development and what people are expecting from us now?
Yeah, I think it's very clear that it's a moving dancing carpet, moving goalpost, dancing carpet, depending on what analogy you want to put through to it. But it's certainly on the up of change, and we're seeing that obviously within young teams, there's going to be potential at age discrimination taking place, where you're not going to hire anyone who's outside that demographic, and then as a result of that, you're kind of fostering the same environment and the same problems where people prefer to send a message to the person sitting next to them rather than go, hey, what do you think about this? So I think that when we're in developing talent and looking at that, we've got to be able to go to where they are within the generation. I'm not going to get specific, but go to where they are and sort of open up and introduce the concept of behavioral flexibility. So
Yeah, and
when
it's
we've
about
got,
having that appreciation as well, isn't it? Like
yeah,
it could be, we could be talking about early careers people who are managing people who are older than them. So how do we go to where they're at, or potential experienced people who have been in the field for 15, 20 years that are now hiring, these Gen Zs. So it's not specific to one end or the other.
yeah, exactly. And you've got to be able to understand that behavioral flexibility is effectively showing that you are creating an environment culture which is open to that. And then once we've got the talent there, and we've got the skill set that we need, then we were about looking at making sure they can do the job. And then how do we make sure that we can keep them and nurture them? And then with that comes the development of being able to improve their ability to communicate not only with their initial cohort, but also outside of their comfort zone.